To begin this experience, we have descended into the basement, and we're now surrounded by the earth which holds our stories, in a circle of women. As I was figuring out how to tell this story, I started channeling the women that are in the background behind the men. Moses, the Pharaoh, all these men that take precedent in our stories, in the biblical stories. And I was wondering, what would it have been like to be these women during these times? Because the task is really to put yourself into the story so that you feel like you're going through the liberation. You feel like you're living it. So as I was writing how I wanted to share the story with you, I was really channeling these women. And from that space, this was the story that emerged to me. I thought it was a joyful story, one of a people coming out of bondage into the land of liberation. And I found there was a lot of darkness, there was a lot of tragedy that I had to live through for that liberation to happen. It didn't just happen, there was a lot of suffering along the way. And so with our protective plants that we have brought down, with our candles, and with each other, I'm going to tell the story of these women. And I invite each of you to feel with them as I did in writing it. Please find yourself comfortably, and if there's anything you can do to adjust to be just a little bit more comfortable, become just a little bit more comfortable. You are invited to close your eyes if you desire, as we take a journey into a land that's far away, and a time long, long ago, before any of us existed. Feel the desert air on your skin, hot, dry. See the desert sun, it's low in the sky. It's nearly dusk, the perfect time to begin our story. Your name is Jekuthel. You are a poor Israelite slave woman living in the land of Egypt. You are with your husband, Amram, and he's holding your hand. Your son Aaron and your daughter Miriam are by your side as well. You are in bed, you are sweating, you are in labor. You are giving birth to a child, and it feels like you could be giving birth to a new world. There are midwives around you. They have brought rosemary, sage, purple flowers, and daffodils. They are preparing a tea. You smell the aromas of the tea boiling over the hearth in your home. Although the sun is setting, the heat from the day lingers. Your clothing are soaked, your sheets, your bed, you are dripping in the sweat of your labor. but the labor is sweet. You release a cry calling to your ancestors to support you in this birth. And you're invited now, if you have a cry, you can close your eyes to cry it out. You hold your son in your arms, and tears of joy are streaming down your face. Jekuthel, you call to him, with a kiss on his tiny little forehead. A knocking on the door pulls you out of the bliss. Jekuthel, someone cries from outside. You send your son Aaron to meet the neighbor. Aaron returns. Ima, he whispers. It has happened again. Pharaoh has decreed all slave sons born this month be thrown to the river Nile. You pull your small son into your chest. He is silent. In the wake of the news, you already hear Pharaoh's guards ransacking the homes of your neighbors. In your brokenness and despair, you look up and you see your daughter Miriam has gathered a reed basket and has placed a blanket inside. You look into her eyes and with immediate understanding, you know what must be done. Silently, with grief and with hope, you hand to Miriam the tiny infant from your chest and whisper a prayer, a prophecy over him. You hope for a better life for him and his descendants, words that may reach beyond your bondaged existence. Now in our story, our perspective shifts. You are now Miriam, the daughter. And with the strength and wisdom of your ancestors, you and your brother silently exit through the back window of your home, carrying the basket that holds your newborn brother. In the shroud of the darkness that covers this night, no moon or star light your way or reveal you to the Pharaoh's guards. Although your heart pounds inside, you refuse to pant, to make any noise at all, knowing you must make it to the Nile unseen. You and Aaron weave in and out of the small bushes and the mud homes that descend your neighborhood towards the riverbank. Just as you make it to the reeds on the bank, a gentle breeze picks up, causing the reeds to rustle and concealing your presence. In the darkness of the night, you place your baby brother's basket into the river. You whisper a prayer over his basket to protect him, to guide him. Aaron sends a call signal, meaning that danger is perhaps approaching. You push the basket through the reeds and watch until it's picked up by the current of the river Nile. Aaron meets you at the clearing. You follow the basket and make sure it reaches safety. At this point, our perspective will shift again. We are now Pharaoh's daughter, and our name is Hathor, from the Egyptian god of Sky Mother and Earth Mother. From a deep slumber in your palace bed, you startle awake. You feel a need to head down to your bathing chambers. You have sweat through your night dress. You are dreaming of giving birth to a baby boy. You call for your maids and wait for them. And while you wait, you remember the dream. The sun was casting a hazy light through the small window, heat from a hearth in the center of a home. You hear your maids gently call to you, and you go with them now to your bathing chambers. You descend marble steps of the river Nile. The aromas of frankincense and mirth emanate from the incense placed by the water. Thinking again of the dream, you remember feeling the bliss of holding your small son in your arms, hearing a knock at the door and suddenly having to place your baby into a basket and have him taken away. What What a strange dream, you think. It felt so real. You undress from your dampened clothes and step down into the river. The water refreshes you, bringing you back to your body. You notice how dark the night is. No moon or stars casting any light. The only light in your bathing chamber comes from flickering lanterns. The river is still. There is no breeze in the air. You close your eyes and dip into the water, swimming towards the open river. The water feels miraculous on your skin. You feel the eyes of your maidens watching you, always protecting you. Suddenly, a breeze causes the water to ripple, and you see a basket floating in the water. You stretch out your hands to retrieve the basket and bring it back towards the palace. You open the basket, and inside, you see a baby boy. The baby boy from your dreams, and you understand immediately the significance. You lift the boy, you bring him to your chest, and you name him Moses, meaning drawn from the river. You instruct your maidens to treat this child as your son, and never utter a word of this night to a single soul. The next morning, an Israelite slave comes to you. She says she knows that you have a baby who needs to feed, and she knows a mother who needs to feed a baby. The girl's name was Miriam, and Miriam reunited Jekuthel and baby Moses so that Jekuthel could feed Moses and protect Moses in his infancy. You love Moses and you raise him as your own son. He is the brother to Ramses, who is your other son. You watch them grow up. They play, they are strong, they are intelligent, and you feel proud and joyful watching them together. You know that one day Ramses will become Pharaoh, and you hope that Moses will be his most trusted advisor. One day, you are sitting in the palace gardens. Moses is coming to you. He's a young adult now, and he seems to always be getting into trouble for some reason or another. Mother, I have done something terrible. May I seek your counsel? You invite him to sit at your feet. You look at his curly hair, which is so unlike other royal Egyptians. Mother, I was in the fields. I was watching the pyramids go up. His eyes look wild. I noticed a tussle between a slave and a guard, and I went to see what was going on. The guard was beating the slave mother. He says this in a tone that indicates this troubled him, even though this is the way things are. The slave was bloody from the whip, Ma, crying for him to stop, but the guards kept beating him. Moses looks down, and with that motherly sense, you know what he will say next. Mother, I pushed the guard from the scaffolding. I killed the guard to protect the slave. He looks at you, the whole world in his eyes. In his eyes, you see his questions. You see him grappling with his reality, not understanding why he cared for this slave. Knowing that he did something wrong, and knowing too that he might have done something right. And you know that he will have to flee, that he will no longer be safe since killing the guard. You tell him to take a camel, to run and not look back. Your heart breaks, knowing you have done your best, knowing it might not be enough. You whisper a prayer to your son, riding off into the grueling desert, into the desert beyond all he's ever known. At this moment in our story, our perspective shifts again. You are now Zipporah, a young Midianite nomad woman. Your father is Jethro, the priest in your community. You are wise in the ways of the desert, as is your whole community. At present, you are gathering water for the camels and your home with your 6 sisters. It's mid-morning in the desert. Sand blows at your headscarf. It's getting into your eyes and mouth. It's tedious labor filling each water vessel. You want to hurry. It's not always safe for women, even women in number. As if tempted by that thought, you hear the haughty voices of local shepherds approaching, their eyes wolf-like, their mouths watering at the sight of you and your sisters. You pull faster on the ropes to bring up water from the well, but you know you must not let fear show. You're irritating the blisters already throbbing on your hands. Your sister you make eye contact with on the other side of the well, pulling at the other rope. The others behind you straighten. They are ready for the fight. You are careful not to spill a drop of the sacred liquid of water, while the other 4 sisters create a barrier between you and the men. They are spitting filthy words in your direction. You keep your head down. You tell yourself that you will be okay. The men draw closer. You cannot show fear. The men are thirsty for more than just water. "Hey!" cries a voice. "Get out of here!" You can't turn around yet, but you know that this voice is new to you. As the final vessel is full to the brim, you turn around and you see him. The man is filthy, burnt, and looks like he's been traveling through the desert without food or water. Your eyes meet, and for a moment, you cannot breathe. The stranger is invited back to your home, and you find his name to be Moses. Time passes, and Moses lives with your family. He learns from your father the ways of shepherding and teaches you and your sisters Egyptian stories from his youth. The more time you spend together, the closer you become. You are each equally enamored with each other. When the time is right, your father arranges a wedding ceremony. He is grateful to gift Moses, who has given many blessings to his household, and you are grateful to marry the man that you love. Jubilation is felt by all at the wedding ceremony, and soon days pass into years, and your family grows, and Moses is a good father and a good husband. One day, he returns late from the sheep fields, the children already sleeping. His eyes are filled with wonder and light. His hands are shaking, and he reaches out to you. "Zipporah, I must share with you something. You must promise to believe the unbelievable." You invite him to sit beside you, and around the hearth he shares with you a story about a burning bush, calling him back to the land of Egypt to liberate his people, the Israelites. He asks you to come with him, to be by his side, and by morning you have packed the children, the house, and are heading to Egypt to follow his calling. On your way to the capital, you pass pyramids pointing high to the heavens. In the capital, there are spices, dyes, cloth, and seed, many people of every color and creed. It is hot and noisy. Moses directs you and the family to the home of his brother and sister, Miriam and Aaron. He knows who they are because he is guided by his intuition, although he does not remember ever meeting them. They embrace, knowing who he is at glance, and he tells them about the bush, about his life. He and Aaron head towards the palace to visit his brother, the Pharaoh, Ramses. The task set for you and Miriam is to spread word of Moses' return, to prepare the Israelites for the potential liberation. You hold a council of women. You answer their questions. The Israelites watch as plague after plague afflicts their Egyptian neighbors. The water turns to blood, the frogs come, then lice, and flies in swarming numbers. You counsel them not to intervene, even when they see their Egyptian friends suffering. The livestock die, their skin breaks into boils, hail rains down, and locusts destroy the crops. Although the Israelites are protected from these plagues, their proximity to the suffering of the Egyptians casts a silence through the community. No one is enjoying the suffering, yet Pharaoh's heart remains hardened. Darkness falls over Egypt, and Moses returns to the home. You're seeing him for the first time since your arrival in Egypt. He tells you that there is a final plague, a terrible plague, one that will affect everyone who does not sacrifice a lamb and paint its blood on their doorposts to keep out the angel of death from their homes. He is solemn. He looks distraught. Why must there be death for liberation? He is wrestling with what he must do for his people and what he wants to do for his family. There is nothing you can say to comfort him, so you hold him as he weeps. Miriam and you instruct the Israelites. From woman to woman, the word spreads through the community. The lamb is sacrificed, the blood is painted onto the doorpost. No one sleeps. At daybreak, Moses and Aaron return. We must leave immediately. The people are already ready. The homes are empty. There is nothing that they need to take, for they are slaves. Each family leaves their home, walking with the few possessions that they have, with a bit of flour and water mixed on their backs, leaving their life in bondage, walking towards freedom. And as the Israelites walk, we among them walk. We among them, the women walking to freedom, begin to sing. For freedom is something we have never felt, and now it is something we feel. We are walking towards the future. And as we return to this room here, it is the fact that they walked that we sit here, whatever that means. And we come back to the room after the experience that we've had, and we feel in our bodies the liberation. You can now begin to move your fingers, your toes, your head. If your eyes are closed, you are welcome to open them, to look around at the other people in this room, people you have known for a long time or a short time. Together we have come from that journey to where we are now. It's very dark in here.